5 things I'd do in 2024 if I was starting all over again as a photographer. Yes, I'm jumping on this bandwagon of other people who are creating this topic for a video because I have always had a different approach to business. My name's Jared. I've been a photographer and I've been in business for myself since I was 19 and I'm almost in my mid 40s. I've been in business a long time. Photography has been my main source of income a couple of different times as I've ebbed and flowed through my career. When I take a look at photography and how I would differentiate myself in a marketplace that is saturated because everybody has a nice camera, smartphones take amazing photos, and so how do you differentiate yourself and get yourself noticed? Well, that's what's most important, and so that's what I'm going to focus on in this video, is really how you find customers and how you market yourself. And so some of these things I've talked about in previous videos, and I also have a course on how to start a photography side business, so link is down in the description below to that. First off, the most important one that has worked several times for me, and I know this because I did this to establish myself as a photographer in one area where I was born and raised. And I did this again to establish myself as a photographer when we moved to a whole nother state. And so I know that this works. And that is reaching out and partnering with local nonprofits that have the customer base that you're looking for. Local nonprofits typically are donation based. They operate off of a tight budget. And they're trying to get things accomplished. It's hard for them because it's usually limited amount of people that are working within that nonprofit to produce their own content and for that to be quality content that they can use to market, that they can use to bring awareness to fundraisers and bring awareness to the work that they're doing in the community. And so you as a photographer comes along and says, hey, I would love to partner with what you guys are doing. Can I shoot photos? Can I shoot video for you guys to use for your social media, your email marketing, your website, slideshows at your upcoming fundraiser events, whatever it may be, even shooting photos at those fundraisers? These are things that you can do in exchange for a tax write-off because that's called an in-kind donation. So you can trade your time for a tax write-off, essentially. So for example, my boys played on a basketball team that is organized through a nonprofit, and they wanted team photos done. So instead of me charging for team photos, I just did an in-kind donation, and I'm able to get a tax write-off in exchange for doing those photos that they can then utilize for the players and the parents. And that was a great trade of time for me because that brought a ton of awareness to all of those parents that I'm a photographer. I was able to make them all aware of the fact that I do family portraits, and so family portraits are an option, and that turns into business. And so find nonprofits that have a customer base that you'd like to have. And so you might be thinking, well, how do I choose a nonprofit? Well, look at the people that typically would be supporting that nonprofit or taking part in that nonprofit. And what area of life are they in? Are you looking for families to do family portraits, high school senior portraits, and stuff like that? You're probably going to want to look for a nonprofit that has a supporter base of people who are families, who have families well into their career a little bit and have families that type of age group. If you're a wedding photographer and you're looking to find wedding clients, you're probably going to want to look for a young professionals organization or maybe an organization that has mixers or something like that, where it's typically younger people, single still, who haven't gotten married yet, and that would be a good people group to jump into and work with nonprofits. And so try to find the nonprofits. That may even mean attending an event or doing a little bit of research and figuring out, okay, who has my customer base and what am I going to market to them? Obviously, you're not going to be given opportunities to just put out there everything that you do. When you do good work, of course, the people who operate the nonprofit are going to want to give you a shout out, give you a little bit of credit for having done those photos. People are going to see those photos and they're going to see that you did those photos, and maybe you'll even get a thanks for your donation and stuff like that. And so you're now becoming a part of this nonprofit and supporting the nonprofit, which ties you together with the people who are supporters of the nonprofit in other ways. So that has always worked out really well for me. And I don't go into this thinking, what can I take from these people in this nonprofit? I go into it as, what kind of value can I add to this nonprofit that's doing something that I find useful and an improvement to my community. And that's why I want to be a part of it, not because I want to leech as much business as possible, but because I want to add value. And when I approach that with that mindset of adding value and producing good work for them, I just get clients. It just happens. And it's happened in real life for me in 2 different states. And so I know it can be replicated. And I've seen other people do it. I've had other people comment in my YouTube videos saying that it worked for them. And I've received emails about it as well. The second thing that I do is offer yearly photo packages, kind of like a subscription. This would be something for families or a professional who wants photos and often forgets to schedule, doesn't make time. It's kind of like one of those things where if you don't schedule your haircut, then you're going to end up going long overdue without getting a haircut. So it's easier just to schedule it and have it scheduled ahead of time so you know you're going to have your haircut get done. That's how it is for me anyways. And so a yearly photo package would look like this. If you're marketing towards families, a yearly photo package would maybe be seasonal. Maybe they haven't gotten photos done in a while and they want to have more of a variety of photos. And so you do a seasonal session and you wrap that up into a yearly price, and then they just have to choose dates and times that work. Chances are they may have to cancel one of those because something doesn't work out, and you have certain dates for them to choose from, and if they can't fit it within that time frame, then they have to forego it. And so they're risking a little bit ahead of time to get a good deal and saying they know that they're going to get a photographer's time in spring, summer, fall, and winter for a photo session. And this would just be like a 30-minute thing, not something really lengthy because most people are not going to want something that elaborate. But if it's something that you plan out and you offer a bunch of these and you do these for maybe 1 week per season. So 1 week in spring, you've got a bunch of these scheduled, 1 week in summer, 1 week in fall, 1 week in winter, and they're all seasonally themed. And they can use these for family portraits. They can use it for a senior portrait. You can build in how flexible they can be with those. This would be something that I would probably buy for my wife for Christmas so that she would know that she would get these 4 photo opportunities next year in different seasons, which means she's going to get some variety. And I know that I'm going to get a fixed cost that's not going to get out of hand, which is often a worry that people have when they think about getting photos done a lot of different times. A fixed price package for a year with 4 sessions within that year, I think is a great idea. And it's something that you could market and sell to a lot of people. And you get paid up front. They schedule all of that stuff. So you have income up front and you also have clients that you know are going to fit within certain spots. And then you can also offer like a referral add-on or something like that, where if a family refers another family, then you give both of those families some prints for free or something like that, just to sweeten the deal and fill your pipeline with more customers. If it's professional, so not families, but professional photos like headshots or something like that, you can build that in scheduled throughout the year and say, okay, we'll do a headshot in the spring, we'll do this other type of photo in the fall, and we'll do this other type of photo in the winter. And these 3 different photo sessions will give them content for their social media that they can use for their LinkedIn profile and all of that stuff. So I feel like you could probably even do both of these within a year and sell these different options. And there might even be some crossover, like you do a family and maybe the wife of that family is an administrator for something and she needs photos from time to time or whatever. Maybe she's running for city council and needs some updated photos. There's just so many opportunities that can pour in there. But what you're doing in this is that you're building an ongoing relationship with those clients. You're not a one and done photographer, which tends to happen with a lot of photographers. You do family portraits for someone, and then the next year they're doing family portraits with another photographer, which is fine, but that's the relationship that you built with them is kind of a one and done. You didn't maintain any communication with them. You didn't have any ongoing type of business with them. You didn't try to schedule them for the following year when you got done with delivering those photos. And so there's many opportunities along the way that didn't take place, but this helps kind of build in that future relationship with your customers. The third thing I would do is create products from my past work. So photos that I've taken when I have been vacationing or when I've been traveling or when I've gone out to purposely try and capture something interesting, I would create products around that. And those products I would sell on my website, whether they are prints or canvas prints or a photo book or something like that. I would end up creating products that people could purchase of my work, because that differentiates me from other photographers that are just selling their service, and they're only really able to sell you on what they've already sold other people on. You can see my portfolio, you can see the work that I've done, you can see that I do good work, but the question in your mind is still, will they do good work for me? And so when you add in a product line to that as well, you're differentiating yourself, and you're also showing that person that, okay, this person also has a product line that they carry. They've got their own work that they sell. And so they're more of a established business than somebody who just put up a website really quick and said, hey, I can shoot photos. You're showing that you print images, that you ship and fulfill orders, even if you're using a third-party tool like I would probably use for fulfilling orders, you're still established that way as a business, and you look like you've been around longer. One of the things that people always used to tell me in my earlier days in photography was they were surprised at how short of a period of time that I had been doing photography professionally, based on how good my website looked, the quality of my work, the fact that I had a solid contract, and I did professional invoicing. Everything looked like a well-established business that's been around for a while. And a lot of photographers start their business and they don't have all of these things. And it really feels like you're doing a Facebook Marketplace deal. And you don't want that to be the vibe that you're giving across to customers. So I would most definitely establish myself by showcasing and selling some of my existing work online. The fourth thing I would do is post a ton of short form content, especially on Instagram, showing all of the different sessions and different things that I'm out shooting that would build anticipation and make it look like we're having a ton of fun. And it is a ton of fun. When I do family portraits, when I do senior portraits, and when I used to do a lot of weddings and engagements and all of that stuff, it was a lot of fun, and there were just fun moments that I should have been capturing. And back then, when I was getting started, there wasn't short form content. There wasn't easy ways to share all of this stuff, but there is now. And so whether that means mounting a GoPro on top of your camera and hitting record and just letting it record the whole time you're out shooting, or having someone else come along and shoot short video clips with a phone, definitely capture all of this stuff and showcase it and share it on your social media accounts. Show how fun it is to be out there doing this stuff and capturing not only from your perspective as a photographer, but how much fun your clients are having as well, working with you and just being a part of that experience, both as a photographer and as the client being photographed. It can be a lot of fun, and it's a lot of fun to watch. And it also breaks down the number one concern a lot of people have with photographers is whether or not this is going to be awkward and how is it going to feel like to work with this person. And so when they see how much fun it is and how like non-threatening the environment is and all of this stuff through these short form pieces of content that you're sharing, it's going to make people choose you over others because they're going to see just how easy and how effortless the experience was. Now, the fifth thing is going to sound like a no-brainer, but I've seen this overcomplicated and done in many different ways, but here is my opinion on it. You need a simple and clean website that's not confusing. Now, my website is not that right now. And so my website is not a good example. If you want to go and look at my website, it's jaredhillphoto.com. But a clean and simple website should communicate very easily what it is that you're trying to accomplish for the person on the other end, for your customer. If you are shooting engagements and weddings, then this needs to be about capturing their moments. It doesn't need to be about you and your journey as a photographer. While that is important and you can share that on your About page, don't make the entire website about this. I have definitely done that at times, talking about how I do this and I do that and blah, blah, blah. Nobody's going to read all that, first of all. They want to see beautiful images, and then they want to feel confident as to whether or not you're going to be able to capture those beautiful images for them. They know because they can see them that you captured those images for somebody else, but can you capture them for them? And this is where keeping things clear and simple, communicating very short statements and very short affirmations that affirm that you can take these pictures and that you have, maybe putting up some reviews, showcasing some quotes from your customers, maybe even putting a couple short form video clips of your past customers and how happy they were, cutting that in with a few little short clips from their actual session, which shows how effortless and how fun that was, backing that up with lots of stuff that you're posting on social media, but keeping your website really simple. There's lots of options out there as far as photographers go. There's also extremely short attention spans on behalf of the people that are browsing your website. And so if they come to your website and they're not 100% sure what they can get immediately, then they're going to bounce and go somewhere else. And I can confidently say that because I've been a web designer longer than I've been a photographer, and I know what converts and what doesn't on a website. The reason that my website is kind of a mess is because I was going towards reestablishing myself in the Google search results when I moved up to Montana. And since then, I just haven't had time to reconfigure my website much. I've changed out some photos, but not much has really changed on my website. And I need now to go and convert my website over to something that communicates from the homepage. So if somebody goes to Google and they type in photographers near me or wedding photographers near me and they come up to my website, I want from that point that they click and go to my website for it to communicate exactly what it is that they expected. And so even building a website and putting it out there is not the end game. As you share your website through different social media profiles and stuff like that, and you're talking about the different aspects of photography because you do different types of photography, you want to make sure that you're sending people to a specific page on your website that has that unique information. So for example, I also do real estate photography. If I'm talking about real estate photography, I wouldn't want to send people to my homepage on my website where it may take a few seconds for them to see something real estate related. I would send them directly to my real estate page. If I was talking about sports photography, I would send them to the sports page. I wouldn't send them to the homepage. And so you really have to look at your website as a big brochure. And when you hand somebody that brochure, if you hand it to them closed, all they're going to see is what's on the outside. But if you already know what they're looking for because they typed it into Google and your website came up, or you posted it on social media and they are going to your website, then you can take them to that exact spot in the brochure that has the information that they're looking for. This just makes sense. And you want to make sure that your website is laid out in a way where it clearly communicates what it is that you're offering and it doesn't confuse. So you want to have separate pages for all the different types of photography that you offer, and you want to have a generalized homepage that is catchy enough to hold their attention long enough so that they can see that they need to go to a different section. But most of the time, we're going to be trying our best to send people to those specific pages. So you also want to think about those pages kind of as their own homepage. I actually have 2 courses on web design. If you've heard of WordPress, WordPress is a great platform for building websites. And if you want to learn how to build your own website using WordPress, I've got 2 courses. They just so happen to be free. Check those out. Linked are in the description below. If there's anything I can do to help you get started on your photography career going into 2024, I would love that. I think there's so much more room for photographers out there, especially photographers who take the business serious and really want to provide a great experience for the customer. Those are what we need more of. So if you're really serious about starting a photography business in 2024, I would highly recommend my course on how to start a photography side business. It's definitely with the idea of that side business becoming your main business, should you put enough effort into it. I think you can do that in 2024. Like I said, we need more good photographers out there that can't just shoot great photos, but also deliver great experiences to their customers. Definitely let me know if you have any questions or thoughts down in the comment section below, and we'll see you back in the next one.